If you're a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant, this is for you. Many of you ask me, how do I get paid to speak? When the question you should really be asking me is, how do I position myself powerfully to get paid to speak? Don't worry, I got you. And I'm going to answer that question in my Authority Elevator Masterclass. 90 minutes, me and you, I am going to show you the 3-step framework that you need to implement in your business right now to be looked at as a highly paid, sought after speaker. We're going to talk about messaging, marketing, and monetization. All you have to do is click on the link. It's either under this message or somewhere on this page. Click on the link, go to authorityelevator.com and grab your seat. You want to make sure that you're in the place. Stop asking the wrong questions. The question is not, how do I get paid to speak? The question is, how do you position yourself to get paid to speak? And you'll get that answer in the Authority Elevator. So come join me in the next one. Click on the link or just go to authorityelevator.com and grab your seat today. Welcome to another edition of the Speaking of Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Charles Collins. Now, there are 3 things that you must master in the sales process if you want to close more corporate contracts. A lot of you want to be corporate trainers, you want to have corporate consulting agreements. In order to do that, you must know these 3 pieces of the sales process. I know a lot of you hate sales. I did. When I came into this business, I was like, I don't like sales. I don't do sales. And I had to think about, oh, you really have been in sales all your life as a lawyer. So think about what you've been doing all your life and just know that you are a salesperson and that besides marketing, this is probably what we spend most of our time doing as speakers, is not speaking. So don't let anybody fool you. It's not speaking. So these 3 things I'm going to talk about. I want you to get your pen, your paper, your phone, however you take notes. And I want you to really lean in and pay attention to this because this is going to help you to really, skyrocket what it is that you're doing out here and make it easier for you to understand the process and what they're thinking on the other side. So first things first, you have to know how to pitch. And when I tell you these 3 things, I want you to understand that these are 3 distinct things in the sales process, and you need to treat them as the 3 distinct things. They're interrelated, but they're distinct. So the first is your pitch. The pitch is what you do to gain attention. Gain attention for somebody to want to get on your calendar, to have a conversation with you, to engage with you via email, to engage in your DMs. So you are pitching to this person to gain interest. So you want to not overload them with information, particularly if this is somebody that is a cold person to you. You've never had a conversation with them. They don't really know you. Maybe they accepted your connection request on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or wherever you are on social media, or perhaps you're sending them a cold email. Don't bombard them with information. This is not the time, as I say, to spread your peacock feathers or to give them your whole resume. What you're trying to do is to intrigue them enough to say, that person sounds interesting. What they're talking about sounds interesting. I will give them some time, some of my most precious resource, my time, to be able to have a conversation to learn more. So you want to pitch, and you can pitch any number of ways. You can pitch on the phone, you can pitch by email, you can pitch in the DMs, you can pitch when you're out networking. There are many ways for you to pitch, but it's really just to create intrigue. What you want to do in that initial pitch is to tell them who you are, give them some credibility markers about you so they think, okay, this person can do what they say they're going to do, and tell them what it is that you do. What you do, however, has to relate to the problems that they currently have, to their current state, in order for them to want to get on a call with you. So if you go back to one of the other videos I did, I talk about 10 questions that you need to be able to answer. And one of those is, what is the problem that you solve? And another one is, what is the transformation? Those 2 things relate to this pitch because you have to understand who it is that you're reaching out to, what problems do they have, and do you and your solution align with that enough that they're going to call you. Now, when you pitch, they may not have that problem right now. However, if your pitch resonates with them, then when that problem does arise, you're somebody that they'll come back to. So remember, the pitch is the first part of this process to get them engaged enough to want to actually have a conversation with you, whether that conversation is going to be in the DMs, it's going to be via email, or best case scenario is that they want to get on a call with you. So the first part is the pitch. The second part is the proposal. The pitch and the proposal are not the same thing. Sometimes people get that all screwed up, and what they do is they send out a pitch that looks like a proposal. You already telling them what you can do and how you can do it and how much it's going to cost, and now you just want to talk to them about it. Hold up. Pump the brakes. I don't even know you like that. I don't know you. So I don't want to look at all of this stuff. So where does the proposal come into play? The proposal comes into play when you have now entered into a sales conversation. So let me pump the brakes for 1 second for you. If I pitch you, or if you pitch someone and they say, hey, I'd love to get on a call with you, most often, or they start to engage with you in DMs, most often that's more of a discovery call. Just trying to figure out what there is. I was intrigued by what you sent me. I just want to learn a little bit more. This is not the time for you to sell unless they ask you to sell to them, and you'll know if they want you to sell. So I just wanted to make that, put that little bump in the road for you, that you have the pitch. What may come next is a discovery call. After the discovery call, there may be a sales call, or if they may transition that discovery call into a sales call because you've done such a good job of addressing their needs, and they're like, okay, you are the solution that we need right now, so we want to explore this further. When you get to the proposal stage, what you want to make sure is that the proposal is not just some canned thing that you have from wherever, is that you have listened to what they are asking and what their current state is, what their desired state is, and your proposal is a compilation of those things with your solution at the center of it, showing that you are the one that can help them to get from where they are, their problem, their current state, to where they want to go, their desired state. Here's a little hack for you. If you are able to get on a sales call with someone, with a potential client, ask them, can you record it? And just let them know, listen, I'm just recording, so I make sure that I get everything, that I really understand, what you're seeking, what you're looking for. You will not use it for any other purpose, but it's just for your internal notes. What you can then do is, once you have that recording, take that recording and put it into AI, for example, ChatGPT, which is my best friend. Put it into ChatGPT and say, can you help me analyze this? And you can also ask it to really write the proposal for you based on what is in that transcript, what is in that conversation. Now, you need to know what pieces need to go into a proposal in order for it to really do that. So you want to make sure, though, that you are addressing their needs, not just what you want to sell to them. You got to sell them what they want. And sometimes, I'm going to say this, sometimes, especially when you were talking about corporate, we're having conversations with corporate decision makers, they'll be telling you all this stuff, and they say, well, the reason that I got on this call with you is because I want this, or we need this, or whatever. But if you're a good listener and you really understand who your clients are, you will hear in those conversations that maybe what they want, or what they think they want, or what they think they need is not exactly the thing. And when you're able to answer those 10 questions that I talked about in that other video, and I'll tag that video below, then you can really step up as the expert and the thought leader in that conversation and say, listen, I hear you, and I hear that's what you're saying. What I'm hearing, though, is this, and what I would propose is this. And so ask them in that conversation, Would they like you to send them a proposal? And if they say yes, then say, great, I'm going to send you a proposal by such and such date. Let's put a date on the calendar for us to follow up. Don't let it go too long. And if you leave it open-ended, you'll be, out there just swimming in the wind. I don't know how you swim in the wind, but he'll be out there swinging, from the trees, just like, oh, are they calling? Are they not? Are they going to call? So you want to make sure that you take control of that process. But when you do the proposal, then you want to make sure that you're addressing their needs. Third piece is the contract. Contract and proposal are different. So the proposal, when you're sending out the proposal, you are saying, hey, I hear you. Here's what I think you need. Here's how we can get this accomplished. Here's what it's going to cost you. Here's how we can do it. Here's the delivery method, all the things. And you're giving them that proposal. Very rarely, unless you've agreed on the phone, are they going to say yes to everything that's in that proposal. So the proposal is now your way to be able to engage them, right, around the terms of the agreement. Once you settle on what those terms are, then we come to the contract stage. Now you take what you have agreed on, pricing, terms, delivery methods, all of that, and that now goes into the contract. What I'm going to say to you is that if at all possible, use your own contract. And don't just get some contract you found on the internet or that somebody in some coaching program that you're in or some membership that you paid for, like, oh, here's my contract. Different states have different laws. And so you want to make sure that your contract is legally sound. So invest the money to get a contract. And even if you get somebody else's contract, invest the money in having a lawyer review it, and a lawyer who understands business and understands contracts, not just, your friend down the street who, oh yeah, I went to law school yesterday and yeah, I'll review it for you. This is a business and you want to make sure that your contract is sound because you are also, remember, we're having a B2B conversation. They have lawyers. Those companies, they have lawyers. And so if you're sending them your contract, they're going to have their people look at it. If you get to this stage where they're like, yes, we agree on these terms, and you send them some janky contract that just is ridiculous, guess what's going to happen? They're going to back out because they're going to know that you're just not up for the moment. So invest the money to have your contract drafted specifically for what you are looking for, or at least have one that somebody has given you, have that reviewed to make sure, again, that it complies with all of the legalities of your state and your business, et cetera, and that it protects you, that it protects your intellectual property, right? That it protects your rights in terms of payment. All of those things you want to make sure that it protects you. For example, like we had the pandemic. What happens if there's a pandemic? What happens if there's a natural disaster? What happens if you get sick? You want to make sure that there are specific terms within those contracts that you then send to the potential client. And again, you want to make sure that if at all costs, you can do your own contract. So one of the things I always say in my proposals is, here's the proposal. Once we agree on the terms, I will send you my contract. Now, I've had a couple of times where clients have sent me their contracts. And what I do with that is I compare their contract to my contract to make sure that the terms that are in my contract that absolutely need to be in my contract, then they add to theirs, or I look at their contract to see if there are terms in their contract that I am just not going to agree to. And I will request that they take them out. And if they won't take them out and it's a non-negotiable for me, then we just won't move forward. So you have to understand that you too have the ability to negotiate, right? In terms of what's happening around the contract. I did have another client that I sent them my contract. They sent me their contract. And then what we did was to work together to take the different pieces of each of our contracts to make sure that both of us were protected in a way that we felt we could move forward. So the contracting phase is really important because this is how you're going to get paid. This is what talks about everybody's rights and obligations. And God forbid that something happens and, there's a little dust up between you and the client and you need to seek legal remedies. You have to make sure that everything that is in that contract, because contract law, not giving you legal advice because I'm a lawyer, but I'm not giving you legal advice, just a little game. Understand that it's what's in the four corners of that document. That's what they look at, right? What's within the four corners of that document. And you will see that in most contracts, it has a merger clause, meaning everything that we've talked about, seen, discussed, emailed about, DM'd about, if it ain't in here, it don't matter no more, right? So that's another thing. So especially if they will not take your contract and they give you a contract and you are not capable of understanding all of the legalese inside of those contracts, and don't feel bad if you don't, right? Because you're not a lawyer, you're not trained. We're trained to write stuff in a way that just confuses the world, right? So you don't get all up in your feelings like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm dumb. Feel dumb and go hire somebody to go look at the contract and make sure that you're not signing away. Here's one of the big things I want you to think about inside of your contracts is your intellectual property. Who owns it? So, a lot of times what they want to do, they want to record your presentation. You need to be careful about that. You need to be careful about that. If they're going to record it, do you get a copy of it? Are they going to use it in some other way? Because if they're going to use it, then they need to license it. And you know who's really bad about this? These conferences. So these conferences, they send you speaker agreements. When I tell you need to read those with a fine-tooth comb about who owns what and what they can do in perpetuity. If you ever see in perpetuity in a contract, I'm just letting you know you need to pay attention to that. Again, not giving you legal advice, but if you see in perpetuity, ask somebody about it. Ask a lawyer about it and whether and how is that impacting your particular rights. So, 3 things you must understand in the sales process if you want to start really increasing your odds of closing more of these corporate training contracts. You have to know how to pitch properly. You need to understand the proposal process and make sure that you show up powerfully in the proposal process, because the proposal is what is going to dictate what ends up in that contract. And then you need to have a legally sound, a legally binding contract. Don't just be out here just getting anything in from anywhere and anybody. Take it from me. I'm your BFF, the Spiegel mogul and the lawyer, just peeping you to some game today. All right. So in the sales process, know what you're doing. Be very vigilant about it. Understand that this is a business. Go out there, go get those contracts. And before you do that, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so that you never miss an episode. Subscribe, share this with somebody who needs to know, share it with 3 people who need to understand this. Set your notifications so that whenever I put something out, you get it first and that you can be on it. Make sure that you watch all the way through, take notes, watch it again if you need to, and check out my newsletter. Subscribe to my newsletter, sosnewsletter.com. Every Saturday, so every Saturday morning, I send out more weekly insights, behind the scenes stuff that I'm working on, all kinds of goodies. If there's, call for speakers or anything that I think that you need to help you move your business forward, I put it in the newsletter. So make sure you go to sosnewsletter.com, subscribe to that, subscribe to this channel. And until next time, take care.